The 2020 National Electrical Code, or NEC, addresses the connection of bathroom exhaust fans and lights in both residential and commercial settings. Specifically, Section 410.14b3 of the Residential Code states that the exhaust fans must be connected to a circuit that is independent of the lighting circuit. However, there is an exception. This exception allows for the fan and light to be controlled by a single switch, provided that the switch disconnects both the fan and the light simultaneously. In other words, in a residential setting, you are not required to wire the bathroom exhaust fan and the light on the same switch, but it is permitted if a single switch controls both and turns them off together. Now let's consider commercial buildings. Section 210.52e of the 2020 NEC addresses exhaust fans in commercial buildings. This section requires exhaust fans to be served by a dedicated circuit. However, similar to the residential code, there is an exception. The exception allows for the exhaust fan and the light to be controlled by a single switch that disconnects both the fan and the light. This means that in commercial buildings, it is also not required to wire the bathroom exhaust fan and light on the same switch, but it is permitted if a single switch controls both and turns them off together. To summarize, the NEC does not mandate that a bathroom exhaust fan and light must be wired to the same switch in either residential or commercial buildings. The code allows for this configuration as long as both the fan and the light are disconnected when the switch is turned off. This provision ensures that when the switch is in the off position, both the fan and the light are completely de-energized, contributing to safety and energy conservation. It's important to know that electrical codes and regulations are subject to change, and interpretations may vary depending on local jurisdictions. Therefore, it is always recommended to consult with a qualified electrician or local electrical inspector to ensure compliance with the most up-to-date and applicable codes in your specific area. Additionally, it's crucial to adhere to all safety precautions and best practices when working with electrical systems to prevent electrical shock, fire hazards, and other potential risks. When installing or modifying electrical wiring, always disconnect the power supply to the circuit you are working on, use appropriate personal protective equipment, and follow all relevant safety guidelines. Furthermore, it is essential to use electrical components and materials that are listed and labeled by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, ORL, to ensure that they meet established safety standards and are suitable for the intended application. By following these guidelines and seeking professional guidance when needed, you can ensure that your electrical installations are safe, compliant with applicable codes, and function properly. The National Electrical Code is updated periodically to reflect advancements in technology, changes in industry practices, and evolving safety concerns. These updates may include revisions to existing requirements, the addition of new requirements, or the deletion of obsolete provisions. Therefore, it is essential for electricians, electrical contractors, and other professionals in the electrical industry to stay informed about the latest changes to the NEC and to incorporate these changes into their work practices. In addition to the NEC, local jurisdictions may also have their own electrical codes and regulations that are more stringent or that address specific local conditions. It is important to be aware of and comply with all applicable local codes and regulations in addition to the NEC. Electrical inspections are typically required for new electrical installations and for significant modifications to existing electrical systems. These inspections are conducted by qualified electrical inspectors who verify that the installation complies with the applicable electrical codes and regulations. Passing an electrical inspection is essential to ensure that the installation is safe and legal. When planning an electrical installation, it is important to consider the long-term implications of the design and to select components and materials that are durable and energy efficient. This can help to reduce energy consumption, lower operating costs, and extend the lifespan of the electrical system. Energy-efficient lighting, such as LED fixtures, can significantly reduce energy consumption compared to traditional incandescent or fluorescent lighting. Additionally, using occupancy sensors and timers can help to ensure that lights are turned off when they are not needed, further reducing energy consumption. Proper grounding is essential for electrical safety. Grounding provides a low resistance path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip circuit breakers or fuses and prevent electrical shock. The grounding system must be properly designed and installed to ensure that it is effective. Surge protection devices, or SPDs, can help to protect electronic equipment from damage caused by voltage surges. Voltage surges can be caused by lightning strikes, power outages, or other electrical disturbances. SPD divert the surge current away from the equipment and safely dissipate it to ground. Arc fault circuit interrupters, or RSIs, are a type of circuit breaker that is designed to protect against electrical fires caused by arc faults. Arc faults are dangerous electrical conditions that can occur when insulation on wires becomes damaged or when connections become loose. RSIs detect arc faults and quickly shut off the power to the circuit, preventing a fire from starting. Ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, are a type of receptacle or circuit breaker that is designed to protect against electrical shock. GFCIs detect ground faults, which occur when current flows through an unintended path to ground, such as through a person's body. GFCIs quickly shut off the power to the circuit, preventing a potentially fatal electrical shock. The electrical panel should be properly labeled to identify the circuits that they control. This makes it easier to troubleshoot electrical problems and to safely disconnect power to specific circuits when necessary. Electrical wiring should be properly supported and secured to prevent damage and to ensure that it remains in place. Wiring should be supported at regular intervals using cable ties, straps, or other appropriate methods. Electrical boxes should be properly sized to accommodate the number and size of wires that they contain. Overcrowded electrical boxes can create a fire hazard. Electrical connections should be made using approved methods and materials. Wire connectors should be properly sized for the wires being connected and should be securely tightened. Electrical tape should be used to insulate splices and connections. Electrical work should always be performed by a qualified electrician or under the supervision of a qualified electrician. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is important to have the knowledge and skills necessary to perform it safely. Before starting any electrical work, it is important to disconnect the power to the circuit you will be working on. This can be done by turning off the circuit breaker or removing the fuse that supplies power to the circuit. It is also important to test the circuit to make sure that the power is off before you start working on it. This can be done using a voltage tester. When working on electrical systems, it is important to wear appropriate personal protective equipment, or PPE, such as rubber gloves, safety glasses, and insulated tools. Rubber gloves provide protection from electrical shock, safety glasses protect your eyes from debris, and insulated tools protect you from electrical current. It is also important to follow all safety guidelines and best practices when working with electrical systems. This includes avoiding working in wet or damp conditions, not overloading circuits, and not using damaged or frayed wires. If you are not comfortable performing electrical work yourself, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the knowledge, skills, and experience necessary to perform electrical work safely and correctly. Hiring a qualified electrician can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. When hiring an electrician, it is important to check their credentials and to make sure that they are licensed and insured. You should also ask for references and check their reputation online. A reputable electrician will be happy to provide you with this information. Before hiring an electrician, it is important to get a written estimate for the work to be performed. The estimate should include a detailed description of the work, the materials to be used, and the total cost of the project. This will help to avoid any surprises later on. It is also important to discuss the payment terms with the electrician before starting the work. Some electricians require a deposit upfront, while others will bill you after the work is completed. Make sure you understand the payment terms before you hire the electrician. Once the electrical work is completed, it is important to have it inspected by a qualified electrical inspector. The inspector will verify that the work was performed correctly and that it complies with all applicable codes and regulations. Passing the electrical inspection is essential to ensure that your electrical system is safe and legal. Maintaining your electrical system is important for safety and reliability. Regularly inspect your electrical system for any signs of damage or wear and tear. This includes checking for frayed wires, loose connections, and damaged outlets or switches. If you find any problems, have them repaired by a qualified electrician as soon as possible. It is also important to keep your electrical panel clean and free of clutter. The electrical panel should be easily accessible in case of an emergency. Finally, it is important to educate yourself about electrical safety. Learn about the dangers of electricity and how to prevent electrical accidents. This can help to keep you and your family safe. Remember that electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following these guidelines, you can help to ensure that your electrical system is safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations.